good to see all of you. Good to be seen by all of you. Some of you look really good. Others of you look a little older than the last time I saw you. I'm not going to lie right here in the house of the Lord. Be seated if you would. I'm going to dive right in today. We've already had a powerful service, and I'm excited about what God is doing in your life. I haven't gotten to meet a lot of you. I see new faces everywhere. You got to meet my wife a couple of months ago. I hear she talked real bad about me. It's okay. Never. Yeah, right. I told her this morning, I said, remember all those things you said about me? She said, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, oh, I got the calls. And just remember, it's my turn. No, I'm just kidding. It's good to be with you. She sends her love, and so excited about what God is doing right here at Triumph Beaumont. I want to read some verses to you, and I'll be real honest with you. I came in, Bishop asked me to do one thing. I felt like I needed to do another thing. And driving in this morning, I felt like neither of those things were correct. Then I thought I had a fourth thing or a third thing, and then I got into the middle of worship and realized that wasn't right either. And then God just took me back to something He spoke to me that I was thinking was for the Sugarland Church, but now that I'm here this morning, I think it's for you. And so this is a little bit from my spirit today. We're going to bounce around a little bit. Don't even try to turn to all the scriptures I give you. This is not fleshed out and prepared. This is just right out of my spirit, and I want to share it with you. And it just comes down to this simple phrase that you've probably said a time or two. I know that my mom said it to me and my sisters many times, and the phrase is just simply, enough is enough. How many of you have kids? You ever looked at your kids and just said, enough is enough? I don't know who came up with that phrase. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. But you all know what I'm talking about. Enough is enough. There are things you've been fighting in your life time and time and time again, year after year and month after month and generation after generation. And I came to tell you today that enough is enough. That's enough of that. You know, sometimes you got to say to the devil, I'll take a new battle, but I'm done with this one. I'll take a new struggle. I'll take a new fight, Pastor Jared, but I am done with this one. I'm not fighting it one more day. I'm going to start living my life as if the battle is over. My little niece came over the other day. She's 2 or 3 years old. She is a firecracker, boy, I'm going to tell you what. And when she starts smiling at you, you just start emptying your pockets. And when she gets mad, you just run. It's like both extremes. And boy, she was at the house, and she got all mad at Lola. That's my wife. She calls her Lola. She got all mad. And she was mad because she had a snack. And then right after that, she had Doritos, and I brought Uriah in, and he had gotten a snack from school. He had Cheetos. Well, she just finished her Doritos, but now she wanted his Cheetos too. Just like a woman right there, ain't it, guys? I mean, y'all know I'm training them up early. Y'all know I'm telling you the truth. I tell my wife, I will buy you anything you want at this restaurant, but you can't have mine. She was all upset, and we said, no, you already had your snack. You're not going to get his Cheetos. Those are his Cheetos. She started throwing a fit. I just sent her in my bedroom. Close the door. You can do anything you want to in here, but you ain't messing up my life anymore. Every now and then she'll peek her head out the door. You done? No. Close the door back. Because you get to this place where you say, I ain't doing this anymore. I'm not playing these games. Look, as you're two, if you want to act two, you have at it. Go in that room, shut the door, and you can, I don't care what you do in there, but you're not messing up my life anymore. Because I made the decision that I'm a grown man. And I don't have to bring myself down to the level of a 2-year-old. No, I will give this little girl anything she wants. I promise you. Every time she comes to my house, I just give her. I love my niece. She's amazing. But she is in those terrible 2s, teenager 3s. They say it's 1 year. It's not. Y'all know it lasts for, I don't know. I got an 18-year-old. We ain't there yet. It's coming. But you just realize I'm going to live my life the way I want to. And I'm not going to let you mess up me anymore. I got to tell you something. And this at first, this seems very obvious. And a bunch of you are going to amen. I'm just telling you. But the truth is, we forget it. You are in a spiritual battle. Paul said, we don't battle against flesh and blood, but against rulers and principalities. We are in a spiritual battle. And we're always mad at people while we're supposed to be fighting a spiritual battle. But you consider this. Jesus is hanging on the cross, right? He's hanging on the cross. They have crucified him. And I don't mean in some metaphorical, symbolic way. I mean his flesh is ripped from his body. There's nails in his wrists and nails in his feet. He has to lift himself up just to take a breath because of the compression upon his lungs. He has to pull himself up on these nails. And he looks down at the people who did it to him. He had every right to be angry, but he says, Father, forgive them. They don't even know what they're doing. Why could Jesus say that in one of the most gruesome, difficult, painful, gory moments that the world has ever seen? He said it because he understood, my battle is not with them. And here's what Jesus said to you. Jesus said to you that you've got to forgive 70 times 7 in the same day. The inference is the Greek there for the same sin. Why? Because Jesus understands your battle is not with them. I can't be mad at my 3-year-old niece for acting like a 3-year-old. That's who she is. I can't walk around storming and stomping. She ain't never coming to my house again. No, she's 3. I'm going to let her be 3, but I'm not going to be 3. I hate to tell you, some of y'all remember me when I was a kid. I'm 41. I don't know what happened. I don't feel 41, Pastor Lisa. I feel about 26. No, I'm not. I don't look 26. Oh, you said I looked. I know. I'm gonna buy my insurance on Monday. Don't worry. No, listen. We're in a spiritual battle, but we keep fighting people and things and wondering why we're not winning. And the devil's sitting behind the curtain, just laughing at us. I said to you that this is obvious, but we forget, and I'm going to tell you 2 stories. One is about this church. We're trying to build this building right here. Many of you were here. We were having church down where our kids are. We had 2 services down there. People were everywhere on top of each other. It was a lot, but we were trying to break ground and build this sanctuary here, and we just could not get approval from the city. we just couldn't figure out why they wouldn't let us put a building here. And I could take time to tell you all the details of the story, but it had to do with some variances from the 60s when this building was built, and they didn't want any structures built within 60 feet of that building. And so whoever built that building agreed to that, and what they got was they didn't have to put a sprinkler system in that building. Well, that's fine, except we have a sprinkler system in that building now. So why are we still being held to one thing when we have spent a lot of money putting a full sprinkler system in that building? It didn't make any sense. And we were fighting, and we were fighting, and we were fighting, and we could not figure out why. And one day on a Wednesday night, it hit me right before I walked out into church that we are not fighting a physical battle with people. We're fighting a spiritual battle. I don't know why it took me so long. I don't know why I didn't see it up front, but suddenly we started praying. I told the church that night we started praying, and I've got a picture if they can put it up. But on a Sunday night, we really locked in, and God started moving. And look at those jeans that I had on. Oh, man. But we were having church on a Sunday night. That's the plans to the building that Bishop and I had in one hand. And in that moment, we got a complete breakthrough. And it didn't happen in City Hall. It happened right in the house of God. The next week, we got plans, and it wasn't but just a week or so later, I took off, and some of you remember this, in the middle of my sermon, and I took my coat off, and I ran outside, and I got on a trackhoe and started digging dirt out, and we broke ground. Why? Because there was a breakthrough when we realized we're fighting a spiritual battle, and there was like, enough is enough. Earlier this year, y'all take that picture down of me, please. That's enough. Earlier this year, we were trying to open up some new kids area at our Sugar Land campus, and we couldn't. We were trying to do everything right. You know, we go through the city with the plans and all this stuff. They add all kinds of extra things. They add money and stretch everything out. But we finally get the plans approved. We do all the work. And by about Easter, we were ready to move in. And they come in for our final approvals. And not only do they not approve the work, even though everything was done exactly to the plans that they laid out, they started adding all types of new work onto us. And then they started walking around our property and threatening to shut us down. And between Easter and last month, we spent about $75,000 trying to make the city happy of money that we didn't have planned to spend. And they were threatening all types of things. For instance, we have 6 entrances into our parking lot. One of them has a gate on it because that's the one that a lot of 18-wheelers come in. And every time they come into our parking lot, they tear up our shrubs, they tear up our sign, they tear up everything. It's always a mess. So we leave a gate there. It's not locked. Just roll it open and roll it closed. And they walked out there and said, "You don't have a permit on this gate. You got to get a permit," which cost us several $1,000s. And then they said, "We want you to put an electric opener on it." Like, why do we need an electric opener? So the fire department can get in. There's 6 entrances here. We've got a gate on one of them. And they're like, "We don't care. We want an electric opener with a key, so if it's locked." I said, "We don't lock it. There's no locking mechanism." "Yeah, but we want you to put a locking mechanism on that we want so that if we need to get in and it's locked, we can get in." I said, "Yes, but there's no locking mechanism on it to even lock it." What are we talking about here? Thousands and thousands of dollars. Threatening to shut everything down over a gate. We're just sitting here like, what is happening? We have some wonderful people renting from us. Have another church that rents from us on Friday evenings. Ran them out. You can't have churches. Just all this stuff, just one thing after the other after the other. And we are fighting and stressed. And they're threatening even bigger things. That just, we're going to shut y'all down. And what is going on? And I finally realized. I don't know why it took me all year to realize it. We've been trying to do everything right. And then it hit me. This is a spiritual battle. This is a spiritual fight. And I said, "Lindsay, I'm not doing this anymore." We're not doing this. When I realized that we were in a spiritual battle, I quit trying to do all the things perfectly to appease the city, and I said, Lord, we're going to start fighting with some spiritual weapons. October 12th or so, 13th, I find out that one of our overseers, Pastors Mike and Kathy Hayes, are going to be in Houston. And I felt a burden to have them just come and be with us. This was right after you guys had a revival services here, and I just felt like God wanted to do something. I called Lindsay and I said, hey, we need to have them in on Sunday. Ask them if they can stay over, and if they can stay with us Sunday night, that'd be great. If not, we're gonna go to war. That's what we're going to do. Well, I'm so grateful because Pastor Mike and Pastor Kathy, they stayed over with us, and some of you came to have church with us. And I'm going to tell you what, something broke that night. You just felt it. Something broke in the spirit, and something shifted and something changed right there. That next week, they come back for one more inspection. This is about number 6. We're doing everything they tell us every time, and they come back. And I'm sorry this story is getting a little long, but I want to encourage you today. So instead of the guy that's been coming, a different fella shows up. We're like, okay, what's going on here? He starts walking around. Everything looks great. We're like, yeah, we know. It's looked great since Easter. He's like, why hasn't this been approved? We're like, we don't know. We did everything you told us to do. And every time you come in, you guys add things. He goes, I didn't do that. He says, as a matter of fact, the guys you've been dealing with, they're off at training right now. Okay. So here's what he does. He passes everything in our church. And he says, I want to close all the open things that they've opened. Every case, everything that's open, it's all closed. It's all done. Get this. He walks outside to the gate. And he looks at it and goes, why is there an issue with the gate? We said, we don't know. He said, well, what do they want you to do? They said they want to put an electric opener on it. And he said, you mean the firemen can't get out of the truck and just open it? It swings with one hand. It just rolls. And we said, that's what we said. And he said, well, do you lock it? We said, no, sir, there's not even a locking mechanism on it. He said, why is it an issue? We said, that's what we said. He said, and if you did have it locked and they couldn't get in, there's 5 other entrances. Why can't they just one of those? We said, that's what we said. He said, this is stupid. And I said, or my team said, that's what we said. He said, look, don't lock the gate. We said, yes, sir. He said, if you do lock the gate, give us a key. Yes, sir. Just don't lock the gate. There's no locking mechanism on the gate. He said, sounds good. You're totally free. And then he said this. He said, I'm going to tell you right now, if one person from the city of Stafford shows up on this property and you don't feel like they're treating you correctly, you call me directly because I'm your advocate in the city from here on out. We went from fighting the city to having an advocate fighting for us in the city. And that's what God can do in just one moment. One moment. They've been slaves for 400 years in Egypt. Moses comes in, and at the direction of God, he leads them out. But now they're stuck in a desert making laps. Moses passes, Joshua takes over, and Joshua says it's time to go into the promised land. They cross the Jordan River, where God once again parted the waters for them to cross, and the entire nation of Israel, well over 1 million of them, passed through the river on dry ground. And then Joshua says, here's what God told you to do. Here's what God's telling us to do. For 6 days, we're going to march around the city of Jericho. Once a day, you're not going to say a word. On the 7th day, you're going to march 7 times. And at the end of that 7th time, we're going to let out a shout, and the walls of Jericho are going to come down. Many of us know the story. We've seen the Veggie Tales. We get it. Pray for Veggie Tales. They backslid, I heard. We got to pray for them. But these walls were so thick that they had chariot races on top of the walls. It was so unfathomable that these walls could be defeated in any way. But Joshua understood something. I'm not fighting a physical battle, I'm fighting a spiritual one. And they marched. Can you imagine what it must have been like marching around the city? Day 1. What do you think the conversation was over dinner that night? Hey guys, that's one day down. What do you think is going to happen on Sunday? I don't know. I mean, we've always liked Joshua, but he's kind of old now. Him and Caleb are the last ones of that other generation, and they're getting up there. And you know how old people are. Day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7. And here we go. Think about coffee that morning. This is it, guys. Only 2 options today. Think about it. We march around that 7th time, we shout. We either see one of the greatest events in the history of mankind, or we look stupid. Like real stupid. But they had to make up their mind. Which battle am I fighting? And you know the end of the story. They shouted, and the walls came down, and they got a complete victory that day. One more story. Many times we go on what we call a Daniel's fast at the beginning of the year. Now, Bishop has sworn he will never do this again. Daniel's fast is basically no meat, no sweets for 21 days. The story that happens where this prayer is going on is kind of a wild story. Daniel starts praying and fasting. And he's praying and fasting day after day after day after day after day. And he's getting nowhere. As a matter of fact, can we read it? Do y'all have Daniel for me? I don't know if I threw a bunch at them just a minute ago, and I apologize. Daniel chapter 10, verse 4. Let's read it. And so on April 23rd, I love this. Daniel marked the date. Some of you need to mark the date today. On November the 13th. You know, you need to get out a note in your phone, get out your notebook, get out your Bible, whatever you need to do. On November the 13th, God said enough was enough. So as I was standing on the bank of the great Tigris River, I looked up and I saw a man dressed in linen clothing with a belt of pure gold around his waist. His body looked like a precious gem. His face flashed with lightning. His eyes flamed like torches. His arms and his feet shone like polished bronze, and his voice raised like a vast multitude of people. Only I, Daniel, saw all alone. Only I, Daniel, saw this vision. The men with me saw nothing, but they were suddenly terrified, and they ran away to hide. You see, there's going to be people in this room that are going to leave here and say something changed on November the 13th. There are other people going to be like, I don't know what just went down. I don't know what just went down, but I'm not going back there, and I got nothing to do with it. But Daniel said, not me. I stayed in the battle because I realized there was a spiritual war going on. I've been fighting with spiritual weapons, with praying and with fasting, and suddenly a spiritual being shows up. And I don't know who it is, and I don't know what's going on, but I'm in the fight. So I was left there all alone to see this amazing vision. My strength left me. My face grew deathly pale, and I felt very weak. Then I heard the man speak, and when I heard the sound of his voice, I fainted and lay there with my face to the ground. He's looking up, and he sees this being, and he just falls out. Oh, God. Is that long enough to be awkward? He falls out, but while he's there, he's in this, you might say he was slain in the spirit. I know that's not a phrase we use in church very often anymore, but he didn't fall back. There was nobody to catch him. He just went face first. Bam. That's when you know the Lord really got you. Then I heard the man speak, and when I heard the sound of his voice, I fainted. Go to verse 10. Just then, a hand touched me and lifted me, still trembling, to my hands and my knees. Now he stands up. And the man said to me, Daniel, you're very precious to God. Can I tell you today? You are very precious to God. So listen carefully to what I have to say to you. Stand up, for I have been sent to you. This is an angel. I've been sent to you. And when he said this to me, I stood up, still trembling. Verse 12. And he said, don't be afraid, Daniel. Since the first day you began to pray for understanding, and the first day you began to humble yourself before your God, your requests have been heard in heaven. You see, here's what the devil tries to do to us. He tries to convince us that because we haven't seen the miracle, God hasn't heard us. Because we haven't seen the breakthrough, God hasn't been listening. Because nothing has changed, God isn't on our side, and God doesn't care about us. What he's doing is he's trying to cut us off from our source and get us to stop fighting. Because if we can stop fighting the spiritual battle and we can start fighting the physical battle, then the devil has already won. Because I'm going to tell you what the devil will do. He will replace one physical battle with another one and another one and another one, and you just feel like you've spent your whole life fighting. God said, your requests have been heard, and I have come in to answer your prayer. But listen, where's the angel been? For 21 days, the spirit prince of the kingdom of Persia blocked my way. The angel was trying to get to him, but the devil was fighting because there's a war raging. But then Michael, I don't know who Daniel's angel was, but at some point, God said, I need an archangel. I need somebody with just a little bigger and a little stronger. That angel's fighting too hard. I need to get a bigger angel. I need to get a stronger angel. I need to get a warrior angel. And then Michael, one of the archangels, came to help me, and I left him there with the spirit prince of the kingdom of Persia. And now I am here to explain to you what will happen to your future. For this vision concerns a time yet to come. The angel was on his way. But look what the enemy does. He tries to stop the angel and force him to fight here, and tries to convince Daniel to give up. You've been fighting in your life. You've been struggling. You've been worrying. You've been praying, and you haven't gotten an answer, and you haven't gotten a breakthrough. But I came to tell you today that enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Breakthrough is coming in your life. You've been fighting a battle with your kids long enough. I'm speaking into the Spirit right now, and I'm saying, devil, you let those kids go. You let that son go. You let that daughter go. You let that husband go. You let that father go. You let that mother go. You let my friends go. You let my family go. You let my finances go. Enough is enough. I have fought this battle in my body long enough, and I'm calling it done today, and I'm going to live my life set free because the angel has shown up. He heard every prayer, and he's coming through. Enough is enough. Turn to the next person to you and tell them, enough is enough. Enough is enough. There's breakthrough coming in my life. That's it. That's it. There's a verse in Proverbs chapter 24, verse 15 and 16. And it says, don't lie in ambush in the house of the righteous man. Because though the righteous man may fall 7 times, he gets up and he avails much. The enemy thought he had you down. The enemy thought he had won the war. But today the righteous are standing up. Today the righteous are saying, you got to get out of my house. You've got to get out of my life because God is coming through and I'm going to beat the devil down. So, we got to fight the spiritual battle. We got to fight the spirit. Forget the physical battle, but quit being mad at people all the time. You know what your job is? To love people. To love your enemies. Why could Jesus say this? He said, quit being mad at your boss. Fight the spiritual battle. Love people. Fight the devil. Love your neighbor. Fight the enemy. People are not your problem. The devil is your problem. Get your eyes off of them and lift them up to God. So I want to speak over your life. If you're fighting some battles that you need to be done today, just lift both hands with me right now. Father, we're saying enough is enough. Come on, say it with me. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Lord, I'm calling it done in their lives. Just as you broke through in this church in 2011, just as you broke through on October the 16th in Sugar Land, God, we're breaking through in the lives of your people on November the 13th. And when we leave here today, we're leaving victorious, we're leaving overcomers, and we're saying that it is done in Jesus' name. Now I'm telling you, and I'm speaking to some of you, you got to make some things your past, not your present. You know they're not your future, but you haven't stopped making them your everyday. It's time to put them in your past. Act different, talk different, walk different, look different, be different, because you are different. What are y'all playing, singing? Okay, we're going to sing this song. Pastor Renee is going to come and close out the service. Good Lord, I went way over my time. I'm so sorry. Don't blame me. Blame somebody else. I'll be back to see you very soon. I love you. Hey, one more time, say it with me. Enough